Well, welcome to I Love Gay today. And we are here in Ohio, and we are with someone I've come to know online. And I'm so excited to get to know here through Zoom. But we're here with Ken Schneck from the Buckeye Flame in Ohio. How are you?
Thanks so much for having me.
I was way too excited to have you on, but it's just because it's funny because over at least the last year or two, but on social media, I'm just always seeing these posts that you guys are doing from the Buckeye Flame, and I always think to myself, as an LGBT media company, you guys are like really on it because your posts are really nice and your content is great. And then even just like 2 or 3 days ago, Glad you referenced one of your articles in one of their pushes, and I was just like, I got to reach this guy.
We appreciate folks interacting with our content and yay that people are seeing it.
They are, but no. I guess what's interesting is that I was thinking to myself that you're going to talk about your history with Buckeye Flame, but you've got like a long history there in the Ohio LGBT community and business world. I mean, before even doing this, I think you wrote a few books about LGBTQ life in Ohio. Yes.
I did, yeah. I'm originally from the New York City area, but I moved to Ohio in 2013. I'm a professor of education at Baldwin Wallace University here in Northeast Ohio. And that has given me the wonderful opportunity to have a lot of flexibility with a lot of the work that I do outside of my professor life. And so part of that is indeed as a writer. So I had the great chance to write my own travelogue about my own whack job adventures in the world, but then also three LGBTQ plus history books.
Yeah.
One of Cleveland, one of Columbus, and one of Cincinnati, of just
Yeah.
photo history books of where the community has been over the past 50, 60 years.
Yeah. Is your whack job travel book the one called Seriously? What am I doing here?
It is. Seriously, what am I doing here? The Adventures of a Wondering and Wandering Gay Jew, which it's just all right there in the title, folks.
It is. But where along this path did the Buckeye Flame come from?
Yeah, sure. So I was freelancing in here in Ohio for a number of different publications. In 2019, I was asked by Prism magazine, which at the time was the only LGBTQ publication in the state of Ohio, statewide publication, if I could fill in as an editor. And I'd never done that before. And I said, sure, whatever. I'll do that for a month. And it turned into a year, which was incredible. And then got a call in March of 2020 that this new pandemic-y thing had kicked off and was going to be the death of Prism. And so in that moment, I was told on a Friday, Prism is shuttered. We are done. And that left Ohio with zero statewide LGBTQ publication here in this state where LGBTQ people do not have protections in the area of housing and public accommodations and employment, and where our Republican supermajority state legislature is constantly on the attack proposing new bills. And so I just called a couple friends of mine and said, we can't not have a publication, an LGBTQ publication here in the state of Ohio. And my Lord, did I call the right people, because we launched within weeks of that phone call. A buddy of mine, she incorporated us as a 501(c)(3). We were very intentionally a nonprofit from day one of the Buckeye Flame. That was really important to us, so that our readers were always going to be, and still are and will always be, our publishers and not a corporate overlord or whatever. We wanted that nonprofit model. And here we are in year four, going extraordinarily strong and continuing to grow by leaps and bounds, which can be a little bit overwhelming. But it's also because we are, I say this with some frequency, we are relentlessly and reliably and obnoxiously on brand, which for us is LGBTQ plus Ohio.
Yeah. No, it comes very much forward from what I see, and it's interesting because I'm the state next to you in Pennsylvania, and I also was living in New York before moving here. So, but it's interesting because you more than Pennsylvania, Ohio is such a battleground right now as far as what's coming up in 2024. So I have a feeling that your voice and what you guys are doing is going to be even more important.
Yeah, right after we're done here, I'm gonna go. I'll probably move over to my couch just so I'm a little bit more comfortable, but I'm gonna sit there and watch an entire hearing, where there's probably gonna be four hearings in the next 24 hours. This one today, is to force all teachers and school staff, which includes school psychologists and school counselors and school social workers, to automatically out LGBTQ plus youth to their parents. And
Wow.
that's just today. Tomorrow, it looks to be a bill that will ban trans female athletes across the state of Ohio, and another bill, well, it's actually one bill, we call it an omnibus anti-trans bill, to ban gender affirming care for trans youth in Ohio. So, in some ways it would be awesome if the Republicans here, because these are in a nonpartisan way, all these bills are sponsored by Republicans. It would be awesome if the Republicans put us out of business at the Buckeye Flame by not continuously proposing these bills and policies, but that doesn't look to be ending anytime soon. So the need and the space for the Buckeye Flame will continue to be important.
Yeah, well, it's very obvious when GLAAD and other organizations there, because you're that voice from Ohio, and you're putting this stuff out there. It's just I noticed that they really rely on you as kind of a resource for them to be able to amplify what you're doing.
Yeah, we take that really seriously. We put right on our homepage, there's a link on our homepage that says steal our stories. Our content is always free for any publication to use. We've seen so many examples of other media, non-LGBTQ plus media, with some horrible journalism practices of just dead naming people and outing people and just not great practices using outdated language. So we'd rather not charge for our content and have folks take this stuff that we're working on that's written by LGBTQ people with what we believe to be grace and sensitivity and depth, and broadcast that all over the place. I think it's also important too, just even from a media lens, there are other publications out there. There are things that are really important that are happening in LGBTQ plus Pennsylvania, and there are other publications who can work on that. We are staying focused on LGBTQ plus Ohio.
Yeah,
That's what we do.
yeah. That niche is the opportunity.
It is, and we want people to associate us with that. We can only be what we are, and we are not a national publication, and we're not trying to be.
Yeah. But you're and what I said at the beginning, what I notice kind of sets you apart. There are other media, LGBT media that do this, but I always find them few and far between, where you really seem to realize that you see that the content you post on your website or in your print publication, that's important, but that the social media that you're posting it in, that is like equally important in its own separate way, and they all work together. And you uniquely really get that, I feel, from the way you post and the way you work with others on your posts.
Oh, you are giving us so much credit, and we'll take it. I work with an incredible team of folks, including HL Comarado, who's our staff writer, who has taken our Instagram to the next level, and we've seen the results of that. But I think it's not just a one and done post kind of thing for us. Do we have our Facebook page that has thousands of people on it? Absolutely. But every single time, this is just as an example, every single time we put out a new article, we have the post that we put on our Buckeye Flame Facebook page, and then I literally go in manually and post it to probably 26, 27 local LGBTQ plus Ohio groups,
Yeah.
all geo-based groups, so that we're making sure. I mean, I can't believe that people don't have me blocked at this point, and I'm sure that some people do, including my mom. I'm just kidding. She loves our post. My mom, I should say, is the most faithful reader of the Buckeye Flame. But we make sure that it gets out to all of these little nooks and crannies. And just this morning, we posted something, and someone wrote, because I do hesitate. I'm like, oh gosh, this is an Akron story. Do I really want to post this in a Toledo group? Because
Yeah.
I'm not sure that it applies, but at the same time, did that this morning, and someone in the Toledo group wrote, oh gosh, I wish we had this here. that actually is why we're posting it in all these different groups. We're hoping in all things to inspire people to, because it's not all doom and gloom stories. There's a lot of great LGBTQ folks who are doing great things across the state. And we want people to know about those examples of activism because they really can be done everywhere, not just in the three cities of Cleveland, Columbus, and Cincinnati.
Oh yeah. No, I actually think Facebook groups, I always say, could be a great way to amplify and get content, and also probably makes your profile, your business profile, more engaged, as well as your personal. But it's so labor intensive. Like
It is
I
really
rarely
labor
do that because
intensive. Yeah, even let me just pull back the curtain more. Anytime we're posting in another group and someone likes it, this right backdoor stuff, you go into that post, you click who liked it, and then it shows you have they been invited to like your page or not. And you have to do it manually. There's no way to do it across the board. And this is extraordinarily unsexy, and this isn't the content creation part, but at the same time, if 1 out of every 10 of those people that you invite to like your page now are following your page, they are now in the know about your content, and that's another person who can share it. So we've
yeah,
really seen the benefits of that. Extraordinarily labor intensive, but that's the way this game works sometimes. And
yeah.
ultimately, the goal is to get the content in front of as many people as possible.
Yeah, no, I love hearing this. I mean, you're in that space though, in the groups and so forth, where there's probably a lot of user generated content for Ohio. Do you engage with them as well? I guess case by case basis.
Very much so. It was really important to us also to provide space on our website that people could submit story ideas. That's the great part. The part that just hurts my soul is the backlog is overwhelming, right? We could use another 5 or 6 full-time reporters and still not make a dent in all the things that are happening across the state. We started tracking, again, the metrics part, super unsexy, but really important. We started tracking how many of our stories are hitting the 88 counties in Ohio. And so we went through and all close to 1,000 stories that we've done in the past 4 years and plugging them in. When was the last time we hit this county? And we saw that we've hit 50 out of the 88 counties, which is not bad, right? But that leaves 38 counties that unquestionably have LGBTQ people in those counties with stories that are not being told. So we try to use it as a motivation and to also empower our audience to submit a story and let us know what's going on in your neck of the woods.
Yeah. But I guess even lastly on for Buckeye Flame, I mean, here in social media, user generated content, a lot of your advertisers that you probably have now, but years ago they had to go through LGBTQ media in order to get the word out. But like so many, like Lambda Legal and Glad, they have a huge following now, so they go direct. Yet at the same time, they still work with LGBTQ media on I guess a case by case basis. Has that worked well for you?
It's worked out well for us. The three legs of the stool of funding are always going to be grants, which that was like one of the reasons that it was important for us to be a nonprofit so that we were able to access different foundations that were looking to support other nonprofits.
Yeah.
Direct advertising, which yeah, absolutely keeps the lights on and pays for the site. And so that's a really important piece of the puzzle for us. We do have sponsored content, which is what we used to call advertorials, but for us, it's different. We would never publish sponsored content on our site unless it was something that would have done anyway,
Yeah.
right? And so we would have done this piece anyway. It's just with the financial support. So it has to be LGBTQ plus Ohio. It's not going to be some random company that's like, here's this thing about uh Protestants in Wyoming. Like that has nothing to do with us. And
Yeah.
so it has to be on brand for us and be LGBTQ plus Ohio. And then the third piece, I'm going to say there's 4 pieces. Let me say the third piece is certainly reader revenue. We just did last week our big reader revenue push, which is the worst. I can't stand it. I'm here to be a journalist. I'm a journalist. I want to write this content. The idea that I'm asking people for money to support us is just not my bag. But at the same time, we set our goal and we raised $36,000 last week through reader revenue, which is
Wow. Wow.
is unbelievable for us. And I would just say the fourth piece that I don't talk about enough is just keeping costs down.
Yeah.
Almost all of our money goes to writers. All of it goes into content creation. There's a couple different pieces about insurance and bookkeeping, right? But we really keep that minimal because we want the money to go towards creating content that covers LGBTQ plus Ohio.
Yeah. I love all this. And I noticed as a side note of everything, you're public speaker, you enjoy public speaking, and you go on stage, comedy and so forth. But that's like a whole like alter ego you must have that you must enjoy.
I for a while it really was. For a
Yeah.
while it was just separate parts of my life. I had the professor part, and I had the writer part, and I had the journalist part, and the stand-up comic part, and the NPR part. Like those were all different hats, and I was burning out.
Yeah.
And I was burning out rather quickly. And so it really did take some work to figure out what the narrative thread is that connects all of those different pursuits that I do. And for me, it's about I have this enormous amount of privilege, and the way that I use it, because I think it is important to use our privilege where we have it, is to lift up underrepresented voices. So I really try to do that in every opportunity. I was on stage all flipping weekend. I'm still a little bit tired. Four shows, four sold out burlesque shows that I was emceeing. But in all of those, we gave a shout out to the Buckeye Flame. We gave an opportunity for people to contribute in other ways. And so I think tying those together is really important and keeps me low key grounded.
Yes.
I wouldn't give myself too much credit for being grounded, but it at least connects them a little bit.
I think this is great. You've made it. I can't wait till when I do a lot of road trips. So when I head west and I go through Ohio, I am definitely looking forward to connecting with you in the real world.
Please, please keep doing what you're doing. It's so important for the community.
Thank you. I enjoyed the way we're all able to work together. So we're going to keep that up.
Thank you,
But
sir.
thank you for taking a bit of your time and sharing some of your story with our audience. And like I said, look forward to seeing you soon.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here.
It feels good, so good.